Hola amigos, ¿vieron o no? Saludos desde Medellín. Hoy vamos a empezar con una, una práctica. Para las próximas 2 semanas, nosotros vamos a empezar cada día con un nuevo texto para practicar nuestra pronunciación en inglés. Cada día otro texto con un tema muy diferente cada día, pero por las próximas 2 semanas, cada día un video enfocando con la idea que mejorando su pronunciación. Listo. Okay, so here we go. Hello again from Medellin, and today we're going to start a 2-week challenge, 14 days of practicing our pronunciation in English. So to do that, we're just going to take every day a different short text, paragraph or so, that I can fit on the board. And we're going to read that through with a bit of notation to hopefully help you start to spot the patterns that help us modulate our speech to give a nice fluid sound. And I hope by the end of the 14 days, if you read along with me, practice these as we go, you should start to get, for yourself, a better sense of, oh, okay, this is how I can modulate the voice, because what we're trying to get for the end of this is a more natural, fluid sound, so you don't sound either too hesitant, too fast, or too kind of more like a robot. We want a more natural flow to the voice. So generally I recommend, if you're able to, like I do when I'm doing these videos, don't sit down, stand up, because it's going to help you a lot with your breathing. Find somewhere you can practice. Personally, I think the kitchen is an excellent place to practice this kind of technique, because the room's not too large and you can talk to the fridge, who always listens to you. But that's in another video, you can look back on that. So for today, we're going to read through this paragraph. This is something I found in a business book I was reading not long ago. It's a book called The Mind of a Leader, published in 2018 by Hougaard and Carter. So we're just taking a random paragraph from this. I think the content's quite interesting, but also notice there's some very unusual word combinations in here. So again, this is going to help us practice lots of phonetic sounds, which is the good thing about reading aloud. You really get to stretch the voice to practice all the sounds. And often a lot of words perhaps you don't normally use every day, but it's very good to help us practice the voice, and we're going to get that nice fluid sound. Okay, so I'll read this one through, have a look, see if you can spot where I'm moving the voice and how I'm doing it. And when we finish that, I'll talk you back through it and see if we agree as we compare notes. Okay? Focus and awareness are the keys to gaining mindfulness. While most people believe that they're in charge of their own thoughts and actions, scientific studies have determined that almost half of people's daily actions are driven by unconscious reactions. To become more self-aware, you must work to turn off the autopilot part of your mind. Doing so will result in important realizations, such as the fact that happiness is based not on materialism or pleasure, but on feelings of meaning, purpose, and well-being. There we go. Okay. Now you might think, oh, that sounds a bit slow. Maybe, but part of the idea to practice our reading aloud is we read a little slower aloud than we do perhaps in our mind if we're just reading this quietly to ourselves. But that should help us speak more clearly, gives us a bit more space, a bit easier breathing, we can pronounce the words nice and clearly, and that really is our aim initially, to speak nice and clearly, because then we don't need to repeat what we said. So other things I did in this when we're reading through it, notice we got the standard thing like full stops, commas. With these, when I get a full stop at the end of a sentence, I'm trying to leave like a 2-second gap before I start the next sentence. When I see a comma, that for me is like about a 1-second pause. Also, words rather like and, again, for me, that's another pause. That would be another about a second pause. And then you see I've marked up these two words here. Negatives, or something where you have like a comparison, not, but. That's clearly going to be like a turning point within the sentence. So again, I will stress that word because that gives a bit more emotional emphasis into it. Yeah. So I'll read it through again, have another listen, see what you think. Focus and awareness are the keys to gaining mindfulness. While most people believe that they're in charge of their own thoughts and actions, scientific studies have determined that almost half of people's daily actions are driven by unconscious reactions. To become more self-aware, you must work to turn off the autopilot part of your mind. Doing so will result in important realizations, such as the fact that happiness is based not on materialism or pleasure, but on feelings of meaning, purpose, and well-being. There we go. Well, have a practice. Déjame saber en los comentarios how you get on. And we'll come back again tomorrow with a new reading we can try. And I say hopefully through the rest of these next 2 weeks, we'll get enough practice of all the different 40 odd phonic sounds we have in English, and you should hopefully get a better sense of how you can control your breathing better and get an idea of how we start to modulate our speech as we're speaking, so we have a nice fluid and interesting tone of voice. But from Medellin for now, I'll leave you with the reading and I bid you cheerio.